Hello, welcome to the podcast. This is a quick episode that I'm going to put out right before Thanksgiving. And so, hey, you might not get to this till after Thanksgiving, but all the way through the season of winter, people get together. It might be during Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, get together with your friends. It might be sometime before the holidays or New Year's. And I find that during this time, there's a lot of different types of feelings that can come up within us: anxiety, worry, some fear of how things will go. If we're hosting an event, there might be all kinds of burden that we feel that we want it to go well. And in this podcast, we're going to address the attitude of gratitude that we can have going into any situation, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how we remember the events around us, what we choose to take in, and how that can make a difference for us in years to come. So, first, if you're new to this program, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I've noticed that there was a recent surge of energy coming towards me from all of you guys, from saying, "Hey, it's been a year since your TEDx." I did kind of, say, "I can't believe it's been a year," but I want to just say thank you to those of you that reached out and told me, "Oh, I can't believe that it's been a year," and was able to communicate with me. Many of you were on that journey with me a year ago and helped me explore what I might name the TEDx. And even though, unfortunately, I ended up not using the names that we came up with, it was such a wonderful experience to walk through this with you. You that choose out of all the many podcasts to go ahead and listen to this one. And I want to let you know that I have gratitude for you. I appreciate you being here. Those of you, and you know who you are, that have reached out and just known that you're by my side through these sometimes very challenging and scary new things that I've been doing in my life. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it is interesting for me to think back that it was a year ago in November when I did my first TEDx talk, and now it's coming up on a year in December. I think it was 12th, I want to say, is when it was posted online. And we just reached a milestone recently of 5,000 views on that talk. And it's been incredible to watch this last year unfold, where I've been able to share the message that I did on that TEDx stage in the short 13 and a half minutes that I had, in a longer format on stages all over the United States. And man, I've had an enormous amount of gratitude each and every time, because when you're sharing something that's close to your heart and it matters to you, it matters more when you get feedback from people and they say that it also rings true to them and they appreciate it, and they come up and say thank you and your message has made a difference. It just shows that, one, it tells me, kind of like that whispers that voice saying you're on the right track, keep moving forward. But more than that, it gives me a sense of community with the people that also want to be able to level up their mindset and the way that they communicate. The two go hand in hand. How we choose to develop our mindset and think about things in a more mature manner, in a way that lines up with how we really want to be, it affects how we communicate with others. And so before, we want to be we want to think of things before they happen, not just be reactive to every single thing that happens in our life, in order to be proactive before you go into your next gathering with your family, with your friends. I want to ask you if you could just take a mindful moment to think about the people that you're going to be visiting. Think about them. Give them some of your mental energy of thinking about the great things that you like about them, the way that they've added to your life, the gifts that they've been given, the way that a memory that you can smile about, and just let that flow over you. Because our mind is so good at conjuring up the things that could go wrong. It's so good at thinking of a time when that aunt so-and-so blew up and everyone was awkward for the entire day or whatever it might be. But rather than letting your mind go to that easy to go place, let's do the thing that's a little more challenging and takes effort, and take a moment to think about the things that we appreciate, what we're truly grateful for about each of those people individually. And you know what? When you're with them, I think you'll be far more likely to remember those things when you're around them. And your attitude towards them can be altered, changed, shifted, and maybe you'll have an enriching conversation because of it. And then take a minute to plan. Take a minute to plan the type of person that you would like to be. Think about the things that you love about who you are and how you'd like to portray yourself in that given situation. If you would like to develop an attitude of curiosity with others, then that's going to happen more likely if we think about that before we go into that situation. You can think about my little acronym that we're going to gather more information about people with curiosity and no judgment. And then if they're going through something, we want them to make a plan. So we're going to ask lots of questions. And then if somebody is on the verge of doing something amazing, encourage them with being their cheerleader, letting them know they can do it. Those are 3 simple steps that we can think about in any conversation and then pull it out and use it. And it's really what we think about right before we open our mouth to talk that determines the level of peace and joy that we have in that situation. And that goes on to the second part of what I really want to talk to you about today. And that is the importance of how we remember every single moment that we are in. Sometimes we can be caught between the fear place in our life and the hope place in our life, right? Whether it be, you could call it hope-centered or fear-centered. And when we're operating with a fear-centered mindset, we're basically in a fight or flight mode, and our mind is thinking, oh, what happens if I have to get out of here? What happens if I'm confronted? What happens if an uncomfortable conversation happens? What if? That is the mode that is going to keep us bound to not exploring the most amazing part of that day. And unfortunately, it will also determine how we look back and remember that day. We know how important our memories are. We look back and think about all of our different holidays and big events, and we can remember them. We remember something about them. Why is it that we remember the thing that we do? You could talk to 2 different people who are at the same event, and they could say, oh, do you remember that conversation with somebody? And you'll be like, was I there? I don't remember that at all. But what you remember is something different. Our mind is going to only cling to some of the things that happen in the events of where we are at. And we are the ones that determine ultimately what our mind clings to. And we don't even sometimes take notice of that and take control of that. Who knew that that's one of the things we can control? When you have your circle of control and you write down all the things you can control, and can't control other people's actions, you can only control your own. Have you pondered the fact that you can actually control how you remember back to this situation by controlling the things that you focus on, controlling the things that you think about and replay in your mind, and then controlling how you approach the situations? Pretty powerful if you think about it. If we choose to operate with a hope-centered mindset in each moment, there's not going to be any room for the fear talk in our mind. And when it is there, we can channel it away from the this, I just want to say, negative stimulation in our brain that makes us want to fight or flight, and channel it towards a place of our brain that wants creativity and joy and all of those type of things. We can say, oh, I'm feeling a little anxiety. Just because of that does not mean I need to go and pop off to somebody or even go off into my shell and say nothing. Rather than that, I can say, this is my chance to be deliberate in the way that I'm going to make my right choices. What am I grounded in? What are my values? What do I choose? What kind of person have I already decided that I want to be in this situation? And then move forward with that type of boldness. Then we're not operating with that fear mentality, but rather we're operating in the mode of a hope-centered mindset. Hope-centered. What is your hope for that day? You've already decided, and you're moving towards it with that mindset in mind. We do that. We're able to notice the things around us. We're not in so much chaos. Things that have bothered us before don't really seem to bother us so much. Something that we might have fought about that's triggering us from when we're a child, and we just want to stop doing that family member that always gets on my nerves. It won't even get on your nerves, because you'll say, I'm operating with a hope-centered mindset, with the attitude that things are going to go well. And when they don't go well, that I'll be able to handle it with grace, mercy, love, joy. Like I said, I was out with a friend a few weeks ago, and she was talking about how she's operating her life thinking about what brings me joy. If something doesn't bring me joy, figure out the reason for that. And in many cases, stop doing that thing. And she was even in the moment with me, reminding me that, does this bring you joy? Hey, even in the moment, we were at a spa. Oh, I really wanted to get a facial rather than a massage. These kind of these little decisions that I thought were no big deal. And my mind wanted to think, well, she wants to get a massage, so maybe that's what I should do too. And no, she stopped me, being the wonderful friend that she is, and says, well, what brings you joy? I'm like, well, to get a facial. And she said, well, then do that. It's the small and big things that we need to decide. The hope-centered mindset that we're going to have. For her, it was focusing on joy. Others, it might be peace or understanding or love, or any targeted place, and then allow your mind to live there. And guess what? In a week or so, you're going to remember back to that occasion in a whole new way. The negativity that may have happened is going to slip into the background and then eventually disappear, because it's not an important part of the story to you. It's not an important part of the whole narrative. Now, I will put a caveat on that. If there is some type of mental abuse or something that's happening that you need to pay attention to, because it's not the way that you need to be treated, no, of course, I'm not saying let that slip out of your mind and forget it, because we are also to be bold in standing up for what's right for us. That doesn't mean, though, being bold doesn't mean saying whatever is on your mind. I had to say it. It had to be said. Did it really, though? A lot of the things that we lean on and say that it was boldness, it really was just, I don't know, rudeness. It can be. So even in that, decide beforehand what attitude you want to move forward with. And then many times you'll just take note of a situation and go, all right, if you are in a family gathering that come to find out you're stuck, which many people are, with family members that actually aren't falling in line with the place that you are at in your life, and it's very disturbing to you, you can make the choice to limit your time. It's your time, but you don't need to make the choice to be a jerk. I don't know how else to say it. And I think that we give ourselves excuses sometimes and being like, oh, they said something, so I had to say something. Not always. What's important is that you're operating in a place that is in line with your values, your beliefs, and with a hope-centered mindset that you choose. And all the things around you that you can't control isn't going to bother you so much. Even a mistake that you might make. Oh my gosh, I'm hosting and something went terribly wrong. I remember the last time I hosted Christmas, I swore I'm never, ever going to do that again. It was stressful. It was fun, stressful, then fun again, then stressful again. And at one point, we had these brand new knives, and my brother-in-law, Farhad, is really good at carving the turkey without the electric knife, like the real knife. And so we took our brand new knife, and I got so anxious, like, oh my gosh, be careful, don't cut yourself. And he's like, I know how to do this. But he ended up cutting himself. And I absolutely freaked out. I don't know why. It makes no sense. It was a tiny cut, but I'm like, everything in my mind started swirling like, I don't think we have a Band-Aid. We don't have Band-Aids. And I was like, oh no. And I was like rushing around. I'm going upstairs. And my husband just walks over to the downstairs bathroom and grabs where we always keep the Band-Aids and walks over. Yeah, we have Band-Aids. And I'm like, I think it's my anxious mind is just so close to the forefront of me right now that the moment something went wrong, especially something I had already thought of that might go wrong, I just had a moment. And I'm like, all right, bring it back. And we actually laughed. It's like, okay, let's calm down. What's going on with you? We have Band-Aids. And what a silly little thing. But for a moment there, I was truly triggered and worried. I'm picturing in my mind something that wasn't even happening. Blood everywhere. We aren't able to secure the wound. What are we going to do? None of that was happening. My imagination went a little nutso. We can do that about things that can actually alter our entire memory of how an event went. When it actually went amazing, we can remember things that are just ridiculous sometimes. So, along with practicing an attitude of gratitude in your own special way, I also want you to walk through the moments of your life with other people with a hope-centered mindset. And I cannot wait to hear about what a difference it makes in your next family gathering. So happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. And I know I keep saying this, but oh my gosh, I'm so excited about some of the people that I'm going to interview. I'm actually going to record an interview in a couple of hours and then again next week. What I'm moving towards, you guys, okay, I'll just give you a quick preview. I'm moving towards choosing people to interview that have done TEDx and then also talking to them about a TEDx focused mindset, a TED focused mindset, and what they had to do to accomplish such an amazing task. Because this mindset falls in line with everything we've been talking about today of how we need to put a clear focus on exactly what we intend to do and then execute it in such a way that the fight or flight has no room inside of our brain. Excitement is the only thing that has room in that situation. So there's like a pattern of things that I always hear from all the people that I've talked to and then even coached in TEDx talks, things that I went through. And I want to be able to interview these people. And yes, we're going to bring it right here to the Focused Mindset podcast, but I'm looking at starting a sister podcast, the TED Focused Mindset. And that will be a podcast specifically designed to interview and talk about the mindset that we need to have when we're a TEDx speaker, when we're a TEDx coach, and how that can translate into us having an amazing, focused life that brings us not only joy, but the type of life that we were truly meant to live. So that's a little passion project. I'm just loving it right now. And wait, didn't you just say it's time to say goodbye? Okay, I got sidetracked. Now it really is time for us to say goodbye. I'll see you guys next time. So until next time, live solution focused.